The first person to doubt natural selection was actually the co-founder, alongside Darwin, of the theory of natural selection being the driving force of evolution. It was Alfred Russel Wallace.
I think it's interesting that you refer to him as the founder of the theory. People who come up with theories and hypotheses aren't generally referred to as founders, they're normally referred to as the creator of or author of. It implies to me that you're thinking of it like a religious belief rather than a scientific theory.
Now, Alfred Russel Wallace, together with Darwin, they proposed this theory, then he basically had doubts afterwards, and he made those doubts public, and there was a big, you can say, outcry at the time that this was seen as very strange that the co-founder actually doubted the theory when it comes to human beings. Now, this is what he says in a book called Darwinism. It appears then that both on account of the limited number of persons gifted with the mathematical, the artistic or the musical faculty, as well as from the enormous variations in its development, these mental powers differ widely from those which are essential to man and are for the most part common to him and the lower animals, and that they could not therefore possibly have been developed in him by means of the law of natural selection. Now, nothing's controversial in the sense of him actually saying those words. Everyone understood at the time that he actually doubted natural selection when it comes to human beings. Now, what I want to actually speak about now is, why is this not public knowledge? Why is it not well known that the co-founder along with Darwin actually doubted natural selection as being a driving force when it came to human evolution? And what's the implications of this?
The implications are that at a time when evolution by natural selection was a brand new, untested hypothesis, the scientific community had its doubts. It shows only that scientists of the time did exactly what they are supposed to do when a new hypothesis is presented. They rigorously tested it to confirm or deny its validity.
Because when we sometimes hear things like, okay, natural selection, there's a recalcitrant fact against it, or it doesn't actually explain this, what does that actually mean? It actually means that the driving force, the mechanism, is insufficient. And if it's insufficient, what that basically boils down to is this. You can show all the similarities, whether they're genetic, biochemical, linguistic, psychological, behavioral, between human beings and any other organism. You can't even begin to talk about human chimpanzees because you don't have a mechanism.
No. What it shows is that over 200 years ago, when the theory of evolution by natural selection was still an untested hypothesis, the mechanisms by which it functions were not fully understood. The mechanisms are now much better understood, to the extent that it is a fully fledged scientific theory with all the weight and gravitas that entails, meaning it is essentially fact. It can be shown through experimentation that evolution through natural selection and mutation takes place. It is, unless something very odd and unexpected is discovered, no longer up for debate in the scientific community.
You actually have to have a mechanism before you can even give even the smallest amount of credibility to the idea of human chimp ancestry, or human or whatever ancestry, or anything within the tree of life.
No, you don't. To start off, all you need is the observation of a correlation. Then you build up evidence over time, do research, conduct studies, until you have enough evidence either supporting or opposing your theory to prove it or disprove it. You sound like the sort of person who would witness a recently boiled kettle, a freshly made cup of tea, and a person putting a bottle of milk back in a fridge, and say, well, it looks like he just made a cup of tea, but I didn't see him do it, so God must have made the tea.
And it's very important for us to understand that when natural selection is actually challenged, a lot of things are being challenged. In fact, if you imagine there is a bridge, and on both sides of the bridge there's like these foundations, and you have this road. If the foundations break, the bridge breaks. So if natural selection is shown to be insufficient as a mechanism when it comes to human beings or when it comes to any other species, essentially what happens to the entire idea of the tree of life is that it also gets challenged.
Well, that part's at least accurate, but nothing that you've said here has challenged it. The mechanisms that allow evolution to take place, including genetic drift, population bottlenecks, the founder effect, mutation, natural selection, and gene flow, are well understood, having been studied, researched, and demonstrated to be the case over many decades. You seem to be doing what I've noticed a lot of religious people do, and attempting to cast doubt on the people responsible for an idea rather than the idea itself. Doubting an idea's creator could be devastating for a religious belief, but once that idea is demonstrated as factual, is irrelevant in science.
You cannot just have a magical change in species, you actually have to have a mechanism to show how you can get from A to Z. I hope in this video you've learned the importance of natural selection for the tree of life. For more videos on why Darwinian evolution is based on a probabilistic framework which has assumptions and it has disputes at a conceptual and scientific level, make sure you subscribe to Darwinian Delusions.
And here we see the problem with this chappie's position. Religious beliefs cannot stand up to doubt. He seems to assume that scientific beliefs are built on equally shaky foundations. Religion stifles doubt because it can't afford not to, whereas science is built on doubt. Doubt is a good thing. Progress is built on doubt. If an idea is doubted, properly tested and shown to be false, it is thrown out, whereas if, after proper testing, it holds up to scrutiny, it is held on to. Be skeptical, but be skeptical in a rational and evidence-based way. Thanks for watching.